Hi, I'm Rebecca Woodson, and this week we read Mr. Burns by Anne Washburn. And this play had a couple memorable parts for me. The number one memorable part actually happened right at the beginning of the play when I was reading it. It was during the first act, and when all of the different people were remembering different parts of the Simpsons episode that they were discussing, the Cape Fear episode. It was just memorable how they all kind of had a little bit to share, and that's how they kind of all came together, and you can see a bond form instantly. So this play had a couple different themes. Evolution was one of the big themes, I thought. So their whole society was destroyed. Yet throughout the years, so at year mark 0, so at the very beginning of the play, they were just remembering this Simpson episode. Then 7 years later, they grew into being able to reenact it. And then 75 years later, they made it into more of an elegant piece of work. But it was still the same thing, same Simpsons episode. They were just enhancing it and evolving throughout the years. So another theme is that you cannot do things alone. So they needed each other to remember the episode and be able to reenact it later on in the play. And another thing is that some things never die. So some things are going to continue on in a culture forever. And this Simpsons episode is one of those examples. For these people, they remembered it, they reenacted it, now they reenact it more sophisticated, and it's just something that's going to continue to be passed on forever. So in the third act, there was a play within a play, and this play kind of was a comedy, I thought, because there was not a bad ending. It ended up ending well. And one of the characteristics of comedy is that there's disorder. So I thought that that was kind of shown because there was a lot of things that were skipped over. It seems like also ambiguity. Um, it the whole Mr. Burns play was kind of ambiguous about like how did the people become become together in after some sort of catastrophe, and then also um, it was a comedy because there wasn't an awful ending. It wasn't like someone good died in like in Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare's play. Both Romeo and Juliet die because they were unsure. They didn't know that the other was just pretending. So this relates back to the beginning of the play. In the play relates to the story because Bart sings "There's no going back," and that's just like them. There's no civilization for them to go back to, so they're at the post-apocalyptic phase. Um, Also, when Bart fights Sideshow Bob, that's the same storyline continuing from in the very beginning of the play when they're remembering it to the end. And then also it's Stormy, which is a reminder that they're still out in the woods. They're still in this state where they're not really a civilized environment. So this tells us that the world of Mr. Burns has not changed, or it has changed, but only on the surface because they're only changing a little bit each time. So I think one story that would continue on from our culture would be something like the killing of Bin Laden. That's a heroic thing that would kind of keep people motivated to keep going if something like this had happened to them. So yeah, thanks.